Hello everyone. We are going to discuss about Himalayan rivers. That is a part of the drainage chapter of class ninth geography. Now let us see. We are going to talk about Himalayan rivers. We know we have three major Himalayan rivers which are flowing in India. So now let us see something before we start with Himalayan rivers. Let's have a short recap of some basic concepts related to drainage. As we can see on the screen, that is the term drainage describes the river system of an area. Simply, river system means it's a network of a single river with its tributaries and distributaries. That is, all the small rivers or streams of water that are joining the main river or maybe branching off from the main river. So, the entire network of a single river with its tributaries and distributaries will be called as drainage system, or you can simply say river system. Now the second point that we can see on the screen, the area drained by a single river system is called a drainage basin. So what is that drainage basin? Simply, if I'm talking about river Ganga, then whatever area it is spread out, the area taking from the origin, the source of river Ganga, till the mouth of river Ganga, whatever area it is covering along with its tributaries and distributaries will be called as the drainage basin of river Ganga. As we can see in the brackets, small streams flowing from different directions come together to form the main river, which ultimately drains into a large water body such as a lake or a sea or an ocean. Now, let us see. There are certain, you can say, formations, features which are created in the river system or in the drainage basin. As we can see from the screen, we have source at the top, that is the origin point, the place from where any river is starting. So the origination of a river is the source. We have tributary, that is all the small streams, all the small rivers that are joining the main river during its course. Then we have our confluence. Now, what is this confluence? Simply, when two rivers or more than two rivers meet at certain point, when simply the meeting junction of two rivers are simply is called as confluence. Then we have watershed, something which is new. Let us understand this watershed. What is this watershed? It is also called as water divide. Means something which is it's actually dividing. So what is that watershed? Now I'm just showing you something on the screen. Kindly have a look at that. As we can see, this portion is actually showing an upland, a small hill or maybe a mountain. So if there is any river which is flowing, it is simply going to be get divided if that river faces any upland, any higher land in its flow. So, what will happen? It will get bifurcated into two directions, towards the east and towards the west. And if there is any rainfall that is happening, we will obviously, it's very clear that water will flow in two directions, that is to the west and then to the east. So, simply, watershed, as it is shown with the help of maroon curve, that this is the higher upland which is going to divide two drainage systems, two river systems because of that higher upper land. Now, again, in the entire picture, we have the rest of the portion which is simply showing us the upper land, which is again going to divide two river systems because we are having an upper land. Now, let us see, we have one more term which is shown in here on the screen, that is mouth of the river. What is this mouth? Simply the ending point of a river before it meets any larger water body. It can be a sea, it can be an ocean. So simply the end point of a river is called as the mouth of the river. Now let us see something more. When we are talking about again the same thing, here in this picture we can go through that what do we mean by confluence. Here we can see that two rivers are coming and finally they are meeting at certain point. Here on the screen we can see this point which I am showing on with the help of an arrow is called as confluence, that is a meeting point of two rivers. Now, something which is related to one marker based on this chapter. If it is asked which is the world's largest drainage basin, that is which river is covering the largest area as compared to the rest of the rivers, then we will say it's Amazon River. And we can see on the screen that what larger part it is covering. Now, again, in the context of India, we can say that it is the river Ganga which is making, which is covering maximum area of the entire drainage basins formed by all the rivers of India. So we have River Ganga for India and River Amazon for the entire world. Now, moving ahead, on the basis, again, on the basis of the broad relief features, the physical features of India, we are dividing all the rivers of India into two branches. Either they are Himalayan rivers or they are peninsular rivers. As the name, by the name itself, we can get it clarified that Himalayan rivers are the rivers which are originating, which have their source from the Himalayas, while those rivers which have their origin point from some part of the peninsular part of India will be called as peninsular rivers. So, in this module, we are going to focus on the Himalayan rivers. Now, let us see something about the Himalayan rivers. In this map, we can see the first two arrows are showing us the origin and the flow of the Indus River, very important Himalayan river. Then we have Brahmaputra River, which we can again see with the again a set of arrows. This is the flow of Brahmaputra River. And finally, we have our largest drainage basin, that is of River Ganga, which is shown here again with two arrows. So these are simply showing us the important Himalayan rivers. Now, we have one more. If you see the diagram, if you see the map very clearly, you will find that it is actually Satluj River also, which is originating, which is also Himalayan rivers. There are many other Himalayan rivers as well. In Yamuna, there are many as well. Now, let us see something more about our Himalayan rivers. See here, most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. What do we mean by perennial? It means they have water throughout the year. The water doesn't get perished, it doesn't depletes. It is having water throughout the year. Why? Because, second line, these rivers receive water from rain as well as from melted snow from the lofty mountains. So either we are getting water because of the melting snow, melting glaciers, or whether we are getting it with the help because of the rainfall. So because these are the two sources of water for our Himalayan rivers, which makes the presence of water in these Himalayan rivers throughout the year. Now, the third point, the two major Himalayan rivers, that is the Indus and the Brahmaputra, originate from the north of the mountain ranges. Means, if we talk about our Himalayas, to the north of the Himalayas, that is in the Tibet, we find we have these two rivers originating from there. That is to the north of the Himalayas. Now, the next point, they have cut through the mountains, making gorges. Now, what is this gorge, and what are they cutting actually? We know the fact that the rivers are doing erosional activity, cutting down the rocks, and as well as they carry on depositional activity also in their middle and lower courses. That is, whatever they are carrying, if they are finding some obstruction, they are simply depositing the sand, silt, some rock particles, whatever they have been getting it in the flow of the river, they are simply depositing it. But when we are talking about the Himalayan rivers, and that too in the upper course, that is in their younger age, they simply do more of erosional activity, and that is the reason why they are forming very very deep valleys, which we call it, with very steep walls, which we call it as gorge. Now, a more deeper version of gorge is called as canyon. We will look ahead for that also. Now, let's see the last one. The Himalayan rivers have long courses from their source to the sea. It's very basic. A river which is already fed because of rainfall and because of glaciers. So it will be having more water, and the river is passing in the upper course. That is, they are passing through steeper slopes of the mountains. It means they are flowing at a higher speed, and that too with more water. It means anything which is having more water and more velocity, it will go on a for a longer distance. So that is the reason why we are having longer course from the origin, from the source to the mouth for our Himalayan rivers. That is why we are saying it is having longer courses. Now let us see something. In this picture I am showing you a picture of a gorge. Again, it is a Cretan Gorge, a very important tourist destination. We can see here with the help of this red bar that this is an eye-shaped valley that is formed because of this river. This river has cut down the rocks of the mountains to simply to get its way ahead. So we are having this very narrow valley which is formed. Again, let us see some more picture. Here, again, we have this alligator gorge where we can see that between these two black curves, again a valley is formed. Not so narrow, but still a narrow gorge, narrow valley is formed with steeper walls, steeper height of the mountains. So we call it as gorge. Now, let us see what do we mean by canyon. Canyon, deep, steep-walled, V-shaped valley cut by a river through resistant rock. Such valleys often occur in the upper courses of rivers where the stream has a strong, swift current that digs its valley relatively rapidly. Smaller valleys of similar appearance are called gorge. So simply we can say a more deeper or more steeper version of our gorge is what we call as canyons. Now we can see it with the help of again one more diagram for a better explanation, understanding of this concept. Here we can see that we are having a very good height of the mountains, and a river is flowing, which I am showing with the help of yellow arrow. Now, this river is flowing in its upper course, is having good velocity, good amount of water. So, it is creating, it has formed V-shaped valley. As you can see from the screen, almost V-shaped valley is getting created, is getting formed by this river. So, this is your canyon, a more deeper version of gorge. Now, let us see something more about our Himalayan rivers. They have cut through the mountains. We can see from this picture how swift, how fast the velocity is for our Himalayan rivers, the way it is flowing. Now, something more. They perform intensive erosional activity in their upper courses and carry huge loads of silt and sand. As I have already told you, they have more tendency to cut down the rock particles, carry whatever trees, whatever sand, silt, whatever comes in between, they simply carry it because point one, they are flowing at a higher height, that too with the steeper slopes of the mountains. Second, they are having enough of water. They are joined by more number of tributaries, and because of more tributaries joining them, they are again having more water and more velocity. So obviously there is more erosional activity, cutting down of rock particles. All these things are done more by the Himalayan rivers. Now, in the middle and lower courses, these rivers form meanders, oxbow lakes, and many other depositional features in their floodplains. Now, something interesting to know about these three terms, that is meanders, oxbow lakes, and floodplains. They also have well developed deltas. Now, let us see one by one, starting with meanders. We are saying that in the middle and lower course, that is, when rivers have reached a little gentle slope as compared to the upper course, that is, the river is in the, you can say, in the old age or in the middle age of its course. Here in the on the screen, I am showing you a picture of a flood plain. That is all the area that is lying adjacent, that is lying next to a river that is flowing. from the banks to almost to the site of the valleys, that is from the simply the light colored green part is what we call it as floodplains. Because if water increases because of the rainfall or because of the melting of the snow, whatever, this light green area which we can see on the screen is what can actually be flooded, or water logging can be there, simply it can be flooded, so we call it as flood plains. Again, with the help of one more picture, we can see all the green areas that we are able to see. It can be flooded if the quantity of water increases for this river. So it is a flood plain. Now, moving ahead with the next term, that is our meanders. What do we mean by meanders? What are the other depositional features which are formed by the rivers in their middle and in their lower courses? Now, in the screen we can see that this river is actually taking turns. It is bending three times in this picture. As you can see here, I am showing you with the help of curves. The first curve, that is the red one, that is the first turn the river is taking. Then we have the second turn, which is shown with the help of yellow part, and then the third one again, which is again getting drawn in yellow color. So all these are the terms which we call it as meanders, formed because by the rivers, because now the rivers are comparatively maybe at a very gentle slope or maybe at a very plain area. So the speed of rivers is less, the amount of water is also less. So obviously the river is going to experience more obstruction because of any sort of high land. So what will happen? The moment it gets some higher land, it will try to continue forward and it will start taking turns. And with every turn, the rivers will simply deposit some sand, some silt, whatever rock particles. And with the continuous deposition of all these parts, there will be small land which will be created, which we call it as levees. Now, let us see with the help of the animations. Here, all these three turns are called as meanders. And this yellow part, which is getting shown here, is actually your levees. That is the land portion that is created because of the deposition work done by this river at every loop, because it is turning and it is now more slow, so it is depositing whatever particles, whatever sand silt it is carrying. So that is levees, one more formation by the rivers in the middle and lower courses. Now let us see here again in the screen we have all the Himalayan river formations from tributary, confluence, levee, delta, oxbow lake, and let us see something more. Coming to our, see here, this is the delta, that is simply a triangular shaped land which is again created at the mouth of the river because of the continuous deposition of sand, silt, and all these alluvium that is deposited by the river just before merging with some larger water body. Now, the last portion, that is your Oxbow Lake. Here again, it is a picture which is showing a river with meanders. Now we can see that suppose, for example, if the river water is increasing in quantity and if the river passes, instead of moving towards the western side, taking a loop, the second loop that we can see in the form of S shape, instead of moving towards the left side, if the river passes between these two white curves, then what will happen after certain time? There will be a leftover part, that is the left part, which we can see with the help of the this animation, that is Oxbow Lake that I am going to show you right now. This portion which is getting drawn, there will be this water portion will be cut off from the main river flow, and this will look like a lake, although actually this is the water of the same river, which it would have been it would have been simply in a continuous way, if the river would have not gone through between these two white curves. So this cutoff, you can say, water portion of the main river is called as oxbow lake. So these are some of the formations which are created by the Himalayan rivers in the middle and the lower coast. This picture is again explaining the concept in a little bit better way. You can see there are five simply the ways in which a river is flowing. In first, almost like a straight, then it is taking little bit meanders are formed. Third picture is having more bend, more deepened bend. Finally, in the fourth one, it has managed to do that erosional activity, and it is now again flowing in a straight direction. And the fifth one, where we are finding that because of the depositional features which is happening, the right part of the river is getting cut off from the main channel, which we call it as the oxbow lake. So this picture is showing us the formation of the oxbow lake. I hope till long whatever I have explained you, it's quite clear. Any doubt, you can use the chat box to ask me. So take care and revise what we have done. Thank you, everyone.